Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and it is time for another round of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which is my TBR game. As of filming this, it's the 22nd of June, and I still have 3 books to read for my game, but I have no doubt one of them I'm in the middle of, 2 of them I'm in the middle of, and one of them I will for sure read because I put it in to the spot, one of the spots for Kim from Expedition Through Pages, the TBR Trek game. So I know I'll read that one because I put it in for a slot. And so yeah, let's go ahead and run through the previous game. First up for our character was Piglet, which is an auto-buy, author, or reread. I chose the new Nora Roberts book because I automatically buy Nora Roberts, and that was the final target. Obviously, I did read that. I read that one with my husband. Then for our first pull, we got Pooh, which was a feel-good book, and I read Paladin Strength by T. Kingfisher for that one. For 2, we got Dumbo, which was a circus setting, and I read The Night Circus for that one by Erin Morgenstern. 3 was Read Once, Need More. For this one, I did choose Matt Dinniman's Operation Bounce House. We're currently over halfway through that. I'm reading that one with my husband as well. We will for sure finish that one. And that's one because I've only read the Dungeon Crawler Carroll series by this author. And so, yeah, we chose Operation Bounce House. Number 4 was, it could be any genre because it was a special square, but it was the same book as Last Person. Normally I would go into a store and I would ask the employee, what's the last book they sold. In this case, I didn't have the energy at that time to do that. So I went and found a recent haul from Tori Talks book, or just Tori Talks, her May haul, and I chose Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. And I have not read that one yet, but like I said, I did slot it in for one of the prompts for that game, and I will for sure read it before I start on whatever books I choose for this round. So there is that one. 5, we got featured in a show or movie. I just used the Gilmore Girls list, and I chose Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and I did read that one. And I also read the second one through the Looking Glass as well. And then number 6, we got The Swan Princess, which was Moonlit Lake, and I chose The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I actually ended up listening to that one, really enjoyed it. Number 7 was just a completely free choice. I did my roll for reads, which hopefully should be out at this point. But I'll leave the playlist link down below. And so I chose my book for that, which was Dead Voices by Catherine Arden, another one I listened to. Then for number 8, we ended up at the North Pole, so it could be any genre. And I needed my favorite or random color. And for this one, I really like greens. And this cover in particular, I like the colors with the greens and the yellows. So I chose Small Favors by Erin A. Craig, which is my family's book club pick. And I am in the middle of that one as well. So 2 I'm in the middle of, and 1 I still need to read. But everything else I have read as far as my game from last month is concerned. So I will get another reward token to use if I don't want to do a Hunny Jar prompt. I can use a reward token. I'm going to go ahead and give myself that because, like I said, 2 of them I'm in the middle of. For sure we'll finish those, and 1 I'm very confident, I'm going to read that one, no problem. So, and even if I DNF it, DNFs count for me because the whole purpose is to try these books and get them off my shelves. So there are those. I do have a stack of books I want to get to. Some continuing series. One, because the live show for Kim's game, at the time of filming this, like I said, it's the 22nd, happened yesterday. And so there's a book for that I need to add on. A Winter's Promise I'm adding on for that. And then Small Favors is also for her most recent round of the game. I have my family book club, of course. And then 2 I want to get read. They're not high priority because I have till Christmas, because the next books in those two series that I'm looking at are for Christmas. So I just want to read the previous books well before then, so I'm good there. But I have a stack of books I would like to get to, but of course I will talk about them at the end once I figure out what works for where. Yeah, let me go ahead and set up the board and we'll see what's happening. I'm not participating in any readathons. I did end up participating in the tarot readathon, which is put on by Deja's Book World and Noel at Noel Sunday. I was on Team Swords, and at this point in filming, a week left, a little over a week left, and just have a handful of books to read. So hopefully I'll have a great reading week. But I did want to go ahead and just figure out my books for July because I like to know well ahead of time what I'm reading. So anyway, let me get the game board set up and I'll flip you guys around and we'll do the gameplay. Alright, so I do have 2 reward tokens now because I had one that I earned in May, I believe, that I didn't use, and now of course the one I earned in June. So I'll just put those off to the side, and like I said, they allow me to forgo a honey jar prompt. Just a reminder, let's start with so if I land on blue, that's a sci-fi, yellow is historical, green is fantasy, red is romance, orange is mystery, thriller, or horror, purple is a completely free pick, so any genre, and I don't need to choose a honey jar prompt. If I land on black, I move forward 3 spaces and use that genre, but I have to pull 2 honey jar prompts. However, if I have one book that works for both prompts, I can use that. Otherwise, I do need to choose 2 books. And for our characters, again, if I roll Piglet, because we've got Piglet last month, so if I roll Piglet, I can choose to re-roll. Otherwise, 1 is Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or middle grade. 2 is Pooh Bear, which is a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an autobiography or reread. 4 is Rabbit, which is a completely free choice. 5 is Owl, which is memoir, biography, or any type of nonfiction. 6 is Tigger, which is lighthearted or fast-paced. 7 is Eeyore, which is literary or dystopian. And 8 is Kangaroo, which is a manga or graphic novel or a children's book. So let's go ahead and see which character we get first. Shake, shake, shake. 7. So that is Eeyore, which is a literary or dystopian. Let me get Eeyore pulled to the front and we'll get into gameplay. Alright. Again, a reminder, we move 2 squares for every color except purple or black. Let's see what our first one is. Oh, there's 2. We'll do this one. Okay, that's a red. So a romance, 1 and 2. A romance that fulfills the prompt of this one. Okay, so that is Coco, and it's a colorful cover. All right, and number 2. This one. Okay, orange, mystery, thriller, or horror. Let me move him first. 1, 2. And so this is Christopher Robin or Pooh to next yellow. We're playing Eeyore, so that doesn't count. So it needs to be a mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, adoption or child magically gifted. This is Thumbelina. All right. There's 2 again. This one. Okay, a purple. That doesn't move us very far, but it's a completely free pick. Next. Okay, and another orange, so another mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of okay, so we got Eeyore, which is mental health rep, and I don't forget to move him. 1 and 2, which you sit on the bench. So that actually does not need a medium mystery, thriller, or horror. It just needs to fulfill the mental health rep. All right, moving right along here. This one. Okay, another purple, which again doesn't take us very far, but that actually sends us back to Pooh Corner. So We're actually going backwards on that one, but again, completely free pick. It can be anything, so I don't need to choose a Hunny Jar prompt. All right. That's the first time I've ever landed on that square. Don't really like going backwards. So let's go ahead and see what we got next. Do this one. Ooh, we got our first black. So we go 1, then 1, 2, 3, which is yellow, which is a historical. So it needs to fulfill 2 prompts. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. This one. Okay. Ooh. So manga or graphic novel, and kind of hard with a historical, but we'll see what we can do here. This one. Okay. We got Tigger, which is fun, fun, fun. All right. See if we can get moving here. This one. Okay, another red, which is 1 and 2. So we didn't get across the bridge. So it's not a special square. So we need a romance that fulfills the prompt of this one. That's a big book. A romance that's a big book. This is Tarzan, I believe. You got the elephant there. So I was wrong. That actually was Ice Age, not Tarzan. So yeah, because of the mammoth, it got to be a big book. So let's go ahead and see what we get next. Another orange, so another mystery, thriller, or horror. So 1 and 2, and that says rabbit next red. Not playing rabbit. So mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of this one. Okay, so this is Rumpelstiltskin. So it's a golden bargain. All right. I've been getting some interesting ones now that we're getting low in the jar there. One. Okay, our first blue, which is 1, 2, and that's a sci-fi that fulfills the prompt of. Okay, so a sci-fi that one of the cats picked. All right, see what we can do here. Getting close to the North Pole. Okay, another red, which we have 1, 2, so it doesn't quite get us home. So a romance that fulfills the prompt of. Dragon. I don't do that tongue thing. Move on. So I'll have to see how I can interpret that. All right. So we're really close to the end. So if we get a blue, black, or red, we're done. Orange, we can move just 1 square. Anything else goes off to the side. Go ahead and see what we get here. This one. Okay, yellow, we can't move. So off to the side. And then this one. Okay, purple, we can't move. So off to the side. This one, another purple, off to the side. Okay, orange, so we can move, but just the one. So a mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of. Do this one. Okay, mystery, thriller, or horror that's a middle grade or younger. That's Pinocchio. All right. So again, black, red, or blue. We're done. Anything else? Going off to the side. And we get a blue, so that makes us takes us to the North Pole. Again, because it's the North Pole, it can be any genre. It just needs to fulfill the prompt of. Can't grab onto one. There we go. Okay. So Puss in Boots needs to be shoe or boot themed. All right, and then that leaves us with 3 unusable discs. So I just have to find a book that fits the number 3 in some way. I'm going to go ahead and see what I can find, and I'll be back with you guys. All right, so I'm back. It was actually a little tougher than I was expecting, but we did get our books picked out. So of course, first we had rolled Eeyore, which is a literary or dystopian. I was actually very happy to roll him this month because I've been on my Hunger Games journey. And I am up to the final book, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is, of course, is Hamish's story, which is the one I'm looking forward to the most. It's the whole reason why I actually finally took the plunge and started the series. I can't believe I waited so long. I've absolutely loved the series, but I'm most excited about this one. And surprisingly enough, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was actually my favorite. I thought it was going to be my least favorite, and it was actually my favorite. So we'll see how this one does. But of course, you haven't, been around and you don't know. The Hunger Games were following this world in North America after like catastrophes and war and such. And the capital, in order to kind of keep everybody in line after the rebellion, has the Hunger Games, and each district, there's 12 districts, they have to send one boy and one girl. And so the original trilogy, we're following Katniss, and then the A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, we're following President Snow back in his history. And then this one is another prequel that's following Katniss's and Peeta's mentor during his Hunger Games. So I cannot wait to read this. I'm very, very excited. I actually found all, other than the first one, my mom gave me the first book, all of the Hunger Games I found either at thrift stores or well-free libraries, which is always very exciting to get it a little bit cheaper. And this one is in like perfect condition. So you can find good books, not have to spend as much. So I'm very excited about that one. Then we pulled Red, which is a romance. And for this one, we got Coco, which was colorful cover. And actually, I had three romances, and I think all of them could have worked, but I just went with this one because I think it's the most colorful, and it's the book I put in for Kim from Expedition Through Pages game. We're having to fill a bingo. We're doing a group prompt where we're having to fill a bingo board with all the prompts. And part of it is my fault. One of the ones, and it's actually this prompt that was my fault because it was a question prompt, and the team that rolled it versus one of the other teams. And if the team that rolled it answers the question first, they get a free pick. So we could have had another free pick, but I actually knew the answer and I was excited, and they were going against our team, and I couldn't resist. So anyway, Kim generated three random countries, one of which was Jamaica. So that's the one I'm going to go for to fill in the bingo board. And when I looked up Jamaican authors, I had another one, but I'm more interested in this author. And that's Nicola Yoon, which I did not know was Jamaican, like she was born in Jamaica. So I'm very, very excited. This one, I have some of her other books as well, but this is the one I'm most excited for. So this one says, Evie Thomas doesn't believe in love anymore, especially after the strangest thing occurs one otherwise ordinary afternoon. She witnesses a couple kiss and is overcome with a vision of how their romance began and how it will end. After all, even the greatest love stories end with a broken heart eventually. As Evie tries to understand why this is happening, she finds herself at La Brea dance studio, learning to waltz, foxtrot, and tango with a boy named X. X is all that Evie is not, adventurous, passionate, daring. His philosophy is to say yes to everything, including entering a ballroom dance competition with a girl he only just met. Falling for X is definitely not what Evie had in mind. If her visions of heartbreak have taught her anything, it's that no one escapes love unscathed. But as she and X dance around and toward each other, Evie is forced to question all she thought she knew about life and love. In the end, is love worth the risk? So very excited, and you can see it's this beautiful teal color with the bright pink flowers. So I think it's a very colorful cover, and I'm very excited to finally try this author because, like I said, I have a couple of the other books there as well. So let's see. Then we got an orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror, and we got Thumbelina, which is adoption or child that's magically gifted. And for this one, I always forget when I get this genre about mystery, because I'm not a big mystery, like just straight mystery, like, cozy mystery or without that thrilling element. I'm not a big reader. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the second book in the Mysterious Benedict Society, which is the Mysterious Benedict Society and the Perilous Journey. These books are by Trenton Lee Stewart. And so they're kind of the head guy that gathers them all up. It does say he is adopted and he adopts some of the children as well. And they're not like magically gifted, but they are gifted. And each has like a special gift that allows them to help during these mysteries. So in this one, they're back with a new mission, a mind-bending international scavenger hunt designed to test their individual talents. As they search for all the clues and riddles Mr. Benedict has hidden for them, Rainy, Sticky, Kate, and Constance face an unexpected challenge that will reinforce the reasons they were brought together in the first place and require them to fight for the very namesake that united them. So I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the first book. So I'm excited to finally get to the second one. So there is that one. Then let's see here. We got a purple, which is a completely free pick. I don't need to choose a Hunny Jar prompt at all for this one. And so for this one, I'm going to be reading The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. I think this cover's pretty colorful as well, but it's more muted, more autumnal. And so this is the second book in the series. I want to read the third one at Christmas. I already have all my Christmas books wrapped up. And so I definitely want to make sure this one's read before then. And so it's still early days yet. I wanted to go ahead and get this on as soon as possible. And so, like I said, this is the second book in this tiny little town. And it says, a small town spicy romance. When a secret message turns up hidden in a book in the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Hazel can't understand it. As more secret codes appear between the pages, she decides to follow the trail of clues. She just needs someone to help her out. Gorgeous and outgoing fisherman Noah is always up for an adventure, and the scavenger hunt sounds like a lot of fun. Even better that the cute bookseller he's been crushing on for months is the one who wants his help. Hazel didn't go looking for romance, but as the treasure hunt leads her and Noah around Dream Harbor, their undeniable chemistry might be just as hot as the fresh out of the oven cinnamon buns the bookstore sells. So I'm excited to go back. I kind of wasn't like hugely interested in that series. And then I got the first book and I ended up really enjoying it. So I'm glad to be able to read that. I got a baby behind me. Let's see here. Then we got an orange, but it was to sit on the bench. So that's considered a special square. And it didn't have a specific character, just any character. So it does not need to be a mystery, thriller, or horror, although that's the way I went. And we got Eeyore, which was mental health rep. And so for this one, I did look it up, and it does sound like there is like childhood trauma and probably some like medical trauma and such. And this is my family's book club pick, so I did go ahead and go with it. And that's Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Like I said, it sounds like some childhood trauma and such, and some mental health things with the whole family. So it says, after years of avoiding one another, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. They're finally back together one last time, and when the tide comes in, they'll be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, as the storm rages, Nana is found dead. An hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present mystery, as well as their past secrets before the tide goes out and all is revealed. So, we'll give it a go. It wasn't my first pick, but my family really likes the more mystery thriller type books. And we've kind of strayed away from that for the last couple months, so it's fine. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. I've never read Alice Feeney before, but fingers crossed I will enjoy it. Then let's see here. Then we got another purple, which actually sent us backwards. I haven't landed on that square before. And so again, a completely free pick. So this is the other book I want to get read because I have the little novella that goes with the series in for my Christmas books. And I love the first one. I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to continue with the series, but when I did a Pingo order, they had these books, and I decided to go ahead and go for it. So I'll be reading the second book, which is Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. Um, and I absolutely love the first book, which is the Simple Wild. I really loved it, and I think it was just perfect on its own. And so I'll be interesting to see what I think of this one, because I think this one's more focused on the relationship, where the other one there was other things going on. So you have Kala and Jonah, and basically, Kala's mom couldn't handle her father lives in like Alaska, a remote area, and her mom couldn't handle it. Took Kala, and she was raised in the city, and then she came back to visit her father, and she falls in love with a bush pilot. And so now in this one, she's kind of reckoning with like, can she handle it, or is she like her mother's daughter essentially? But I am looking forward to it. I'm a little hesitant about it though because I love the first one so much, but I do want to read it. And then, like I said, I have the little novella that goes along with it, which is set at Christmas time for my Christmas books. So definitely need to read that before then. Then let's see here. Okay, this one, I kind of strayed away from the genre a little bit because we got a black that moved us forward 3 spaces to a yellow, which is historical. And I did have to pull two Hunny Jar prompts. The first one we got was a bookworm, which is manga or graphic novel, perfect. And the second one we got was Tigger, which is just fun, fun, fun. And so for this one, like I said, I think there's a historical element to them. So I'm going to be reading Toilet Bound Hanako-kun by Ada Iro. I've actually read the first book. I have volume 0 coming. Again, Pingo order, they had volume 0, which I didn't even know. And so I want to read that one, read volume 1 again. And then at Barnes and Noble, I picked up the second volume. And so basically, it's following, there's this school, and there's these 7 mysteries in the school. So there is kind of like this history with this school and these 7 mysteries. And I love the first book. I was surprised, found it at their store, picked it up on a whim, and really, really enjoyed it. It is a lot of fun. It's like spooky. I watch Gabs. I'll leave her channel link down below. And at one point, she played a game based on this, which I really enjoyed watching. And so, why it's not like actually a historical, I don't really have. It's the closest thing I have. Um, so, I mean, I could have gotten like a historical for Tigger, maybe. That's fun, fun, fun. But I don't think historicals are really fun, fun, fun. So this is what worked for me. So I'm going to be reading all 3, volume 0, 1, and 2, which I've read volume 1 before. So the volume 0 should arrive today, any moment now. But I'm really looking forward to jumping back in because this one did leave off on a cliffhanger, and I think volume 0 gets more like into like the backstory of these 7 mysteries and such. So looking forward to continuing these. Then let's see here. We got a red, so another romance, but this one I believe was a special square. No, it's not. Okay, so another romance, and we got Ice Age, which was a big book. I forgot I had Ice Age in there. It's not a movie I really like. Um, so yeah, just a big book, and it needs to be a romance. So for me, normally a big book would be over 500 pages. For me, if a romance is over 400 pages, I consider it a big book for a romance. So I'm going to go ahead and read The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Um, and yeah, very excited to finally get to this one. So it says she might not have a famous name, funding, or her family support, but Katarina Shaw has always known that she was destined to become an Olympic skater. When she meets Heath Roca, a lonely kid stuck in foster care system, their instant connections make them a formidable duo on the ice. Clinging to skating and each other to escape their turbulent lives, Kat and Heath go from childhood sweethearts to champion ice dancers, captivating the world with their scorching chemistry, rebellious style, and roller coaster relationship. until a shocking incident at the Olympic Games brings their partnership to a sudden end. As the 10-year anniversary of their final skate approaches, an unauthorized documentary reunites the public fascination with Shaw and Roca, claiming to uncover the real story through interviews with their closest friends and fiercest rivals. Kat wants nothing to do with the documentary, but she can't stand the thought of someone else defining her legacy. So after a decade of silence, she's telling her story. From the childhood tragedies that created her all-consuming bond with Heath to the clash of desires that tore them apart. Sensational rumors have haunted their every step for years, but the truth may be even more shocking than the headlines. So I'm excited to finally read this. I've been intrigued by this since it came out and everybody was reading it and such. So we're going to finally give that a go. It's 434 pages. So there's that one. Then let's see here. We got an Orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror. I'm ignoring the genre in this case because I had a perfect book and the Hunny Jar prompts are always more important. I include the genres to try to diversify my reading a little bit. But we got Rumpelstiltskin, which was Golden Bargain. And this one has, in the synopsis, it says it has a spinning wheel. So I couldn't resist, and I really want to read this during the summer. So I'm going to be reading The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the second book in the Amina Al-Sarafi adventure. I love the first one, had a really great time with it, and so now I'm going to be reading the second one. And it says, Amina Al-Sarafi thinks she's struck gold. Tasked with hunting down arcane artifacts for the Council of Immortal Paris, she can savor the occasional rollicking adventure on the high seas with her cherished criminal companions, while still returning home to raise her beloved daughter Marjana. But when Raksh, the spirit of discord with whom Amina is reluctantly wed, provokes the Council's wrath, she is charged with a seemingly impossible quest, steal a spindle capable of rewriting fate from a mysterious sorceress on an island no one can escape. Forced to leave Marjana, who is increasingly frustrated at being peddled what are clearly lies about her mother's life and her own past, Amina finds her mission almost immediately thrown into peril. But deadly storms, the erratic poison mistress, and old enemies are the least of her worries, for the Paris story is unraveling, hinting at a far deadlier game whose rules Amina must swiftly puzzle out, a game that sets her against an adversary more cunning and powerful than she has ever faced, a game that not everyone on her crew wants her to win. So, obviously, golden artifacts, or she struck gold, hunting down artifacts, and then the spindle. Like, it's just too perfect for that prompt to worry about the genre. So, very excited to read that one. Then let's see here. We got a blue, which is sci-fi, and for this one we got Alice in Wonderland. And so we got a cat pick, so obviously the Cheshire Cat. So I'll insert the footage. Well, let me tell you the books that were options first, I guess, which you'll be able to tell. So let's see here. So first up, we have The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. I have read All Systems Red, so it'll be the Artificial Condition that I'll read. We got Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuville. So that was an option. And then Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. And now I'll insert the footage. Here. As you can see, Sherlock chose to jump up, and Frateline, or Adeline is her actual name, we just call her Frateline. She came up as well after Sherlock, and she got the little pile I put because Sherlock came from the other direction. So I thought he was going to jump up there and then eat that pile before coming and choosing the books. Instead, he came around and then jumped up, and obviously jumped up on the same side. And he's a foodie, so he immediately dive bombed for the treat. And so we got the Murderbot Diaries, and so we'll be reading Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. And I really enjoyed the first one. I read it for a prompt for, I think, Kim's game, actually. Maybe it was like a group prompt or something. I don't remember. It was last game, not this current reiteration. But I listened to the audiobook and I absolutely loved it. And then I came across volume one, which had the first two. And so I wanted to get it because I really enjoyed the first one and I wanted to continue on with the second one. But we're following Murderbot, who tasked with like protecting like groups, and so like in the first one he's protecting this group of scientists and such, or he, not he, it, they are protecting a group of scientists and such, but all they really want to do is just sit and watch their soap operas. And he's found a way to hack like his internal system, and so that's all he wants to do is watch soap operas, but he has to kind of play along so they don't know that he's hacked his system and pretend like he's still interested and like that's his job, is protecting these people. But I really love the first one. The narration's very fun and humorous. So I'm glad Sherlock picked that, although I am really interested in particularly Sleeping Giants, and this one as well. But they'll go back on the shelves for now. And then let's see here. Then we got another red. So this is again romance. And we got Mulan, which was dragon. I don't do that tongue thing, which I love when Mushu says that in the movie. So that's kind of hard to interpret a little bit. I decided to go with book 2 of um, the Seasons of Carnage trilogy by Bryn Weaver, which is Harvest Season. Enjoyed the first one, not as much as I did with the other one, but my reasoning for this is they're serial killers, both of them, and what they're presenting themselves as, like, people are seeing them as something different than what they are. And even them together, like, they see each other different. They're both serial killers, but they don't really see each other as they are, which is kind of like the mistaken, like, I'm a dragon but I'm not, kind of situation. I'm a serial killer but there's more, going on and such. So that's what I'm gonna be doing here. So basically, you have, I horrible with names and it's been a while. Nolan and Harper. And Harper lives in this town of Cape Carnage, which they really play into that theme. And there's obviously bodies showing up, but he shows up because he has a connection to her, and so he knows who she is, and he's after her. And then there's this other person that shows up that is like trying to unearth what's going on and is a threat, and so they're kind of having to work together against that threat. And yeah, I had a good time with the first one. I didn't fully love it, but I'm interested enough, obviously, to continue the series. I think, like, because they're just so similar in theme to the Ruinous Love trilogy. I think if the author writes another serial killer romance, like, I probably won't pick it up, on all honesty. But I am invested enough, and this one, like the Ruinous Love trilogy, you have the 3 different couples. Where this one, we're following the same couple, and it's just a continue, like, it's a true series, not more interconnected. Um, Not a more interconnected series. So I am interested in kind of the mystery of it and figuring everything out. And I love the colors of these. So I'll be reading that one for that prompt. Then we had 3 unusable discs because we pulled a yellow and 2 purples, which we couldn't use. So those just went off to the side. And then we got orange again, so mystery, thriller, or horror. And this one needed to be middle grade or younger. It's Pinocchio. And so for these 2, for the 3 unusable discs and Pinocchio, I'm going to be reading 2 books from the same series. So for the 3 unusable discs, I'm going to be reading Dark Waters by Catherine Arden. So I have read Small Spaces, and in June I read Dead Voices, which is the second book. So Dark Waters is the third book, again by Catherine Arden. And then for middle grade or younger, because these are middle grade horror, I'm going to be reading Empty Smiles as well. So those are the two books I'm going to be reading. So book 3, it's the 3 Unusable Discs, and then this one's just middle grade horror, which fits that prompt, and it's middle grade or younger, so that's perfect. And so in these books, we're following, or in this series, we're following Coco, Ollie, and Brian. And they kind of, in the first book, they go on this school field trip, and there's like this story about the place where they go, and they're faced with the smiling man, and they have to figure out how to defeat him. And so yeah, I really enjoy like Ollie. She moves to this town because she loses her mom. And so she's dealing with grief and such. And so I really like that aspect of it. And the horror spooky vibes are perfect. So that's what I chose for those 2 prompts, because I really enjoyed the first 2 books, and I would love to read the second 2 books. And it was just the perfect opportunity. And then we finally made it to the North Pole. So we got a blue, but because it's the North Pole, it can be any genre. And we got Puss in Boots, which was shoe/boot theme. And so for this one, I am going to be going with The Bookwoman's Daughter by Kim Michelle Richardson. I read The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek a few years ago now. Really, really loved it. I didn't even realize there was a second book until recently. And so definitely had to get it. And you can see there's boots on the cover. And this has to deal with the pack horse library route. And so that first one, we're following the bookwoman, and she's on this route. And obviously a lot of travel involved. They do have like pack horses, I believe, but it's a lot of travel. You need sturdy boots. And we're going to be following her daughter now. So I'm excited to get to this one. I picked it up fairly recently, like a few months ago. Definitely this year. I found it in a used bookstore, which I hadn't come across it at all. So that was nice to find, and I'm excited to finally get to it. So those are all the books I'm going to be reading. It's definitely a bigger month, so this might span both July and August. We'll just have to kind of see how it goes. And then September is Aurelium, and it's my birthday month, so I always like to just kind of mood read for my birthday month. So if I have a great reading month, because let's see, we got 12, 13, 14 books. So if I have a great reading month, I can definitely read 13 books in a month easily, but I'm trying to take it easier, do other what's the word, hobbies and such this year. So, and since I did participate in Tarot Readathon in June, I'm gonna probably take it easy because I did read a lot of books for Tarot Readathon. And when I'm filming this, I still have like a week left, and I still have books that I need to push through. So, but yeah, there's middle grade, there's manga though, and the Murderbot is a novella, some fast-paced romance and such. So it might actually go faster. And I might play another round in August. Otherwise, it won't be till October when I do another round. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I would love to know if you've read any of these books or you're interested in any of these books now that I talked about them. If you just want to let me know you are here and you're helping to support the channel by commenting, you can always leave a rabbit or any type of animal emoji. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.